And we are broadcasting live from Scarsdale Ford. We are produced by S.E.R.E Creative and made possible by Entergy Indian Point Energy Center, Durante Rentals, Genesis Exhibits, JP McHale Pest Management, Michael Labriola Inc., and Salem Golf Club. It is my great pleasure to once again introduce our good friend Janice Prasad, who's joining us again with his son, which is a first, which I think is pretty cool. We just had Ronnie Ambros and his son. Now we've got your son. So Janice, first of all, thank you for being on here with the show with us again.
Thanks, lad. It's great to be here, and great to have something to talk about based on the last interview that we had here. Thank you for spurring that idea.
Thank you. I mean, we're here for you. You know, that's what we always say. We're here to talk to you so you can share whatever you want to. But first of all, I'm really happy to have your son here too. Introduce your son. Tell us a little bit about him.
This is my 16-year-old son, Jalen Sebastian Prasad. He's just the most amazing kid. I worked very hard to have him in my life and maintain a perspective in his world. And last year I was blessed on Father's Day to have custody of him, and it's probably been the best year of my life after the Marine Corps. And I'd like to give honor to him and say thank you for everything you've brought into my world thus far.
Jalen, thank you for being here with us. Your dad's very proud of you, obviously. You guys have got some big things, so don't go anywhere. We definitely want to get your take on things. But Janice, before we get into a little bit later the plans you have coming up, we talked about last time how you kind of talked about what it was like being in the Marines, but you kind of reflected and you thought a little bit about what more you would want to say when you came back. So why don't you give it to us?
Why I joined the Marine Corps, I gave you the bulk of what it was. I was born to be a Marine, but you know, I kind of dissected that and broke it down after the interview, and over the last couple months I came up with exactly why I joined the Marines. You know, I came from a dysfunctional family, an immigrant family. It was rough growing up, you know, the one-bedroom apartment in the Bronx, moving up in the world to Yonkers, a little better society for us as kids, but our parents, they kind of forgot to be parents and just kept on growing with society and just left us to do things on our own. We kind of discovered life on our own, and we matured very fast, my sister and I. We were very accelerated in school, so we had a really good academic road. My sister was pretty much the silver spoon child, so all the focus on front running was going to her. She went to school, became a pharmacist, and I basically was raised by my society, my streets, my community. I played a lot of sports in the inner city growing up, basketball, baseball, and football, so I became a team-spirited person, and I just excelled to be the best. But what really made me join the Marines is actually trauma. When I was very young, probably between the 5th and 6th grade summer, there was a unfortunate chain of events that happened, and my sister was raped, and I was kind of the one who brought the condom to the person who raped my sister. So after years of internalizing and realizing that the reason I joined the Marine Corps, and it was a green light to learn how to kill somebody, was how I would take it out and not hurt anybody and do it for a good cause. It got me pretty much advanced in the Marine Corps because of this noble spirit I had to take on the onus of punishment and pain to enact some sort of justice, and it really leads me to where I'm at now. I never lost that drive. I still am a Marine at heart, and I'm still saluting everything that's honorable and diligent in this world. And it leads me to the point where I'm at now. I can't move forward being the best version of myself for me and to show my son if I continue the pattern of internalizing and covering up these dark secrets that fueled me to join the gun club as the Marine Corps, and for such a tragedy to want to enact justice for an injustice would fuel me to become one of the best Marines stationed at Marine Corps headquarters, training infantry officers on the rigors of combat in desert, urban, and all sorts of war combat climates. I'm at the point now where I put things together in my life, service dog training, peer facilitators, counseling, sobriety, 4 years of sobriety, and just a whole complete turnaround. I've been practicing yoga for about 10 years, and I actually teach yoga. My son teaches his friends yoga and meditation, and it's just a point in my life where I've turned that drive into something more of a positive influence and reflection that I can say, this is what you can turn negativity and feed positivity moving forward. And I can't fuel my son with any of the negativity, being that he was in a dysfunctional situation while he was with his mother, so I can't put forth any more dysfunction into his world. It's only going to be bright and shining futures in my perspective. With now, football is his dream and desire, and I've also adopted yoga and golf into his world, and he loves both, and we're going to take it to the moon and take it off from there.
Well, look, if there's anything I remember from our conversation last time, it's, how glad we are that you were able to find those things and turn so much around, and everything you're doing to help other people. It's just phenomenal, and we thank you for being able to do that, and we're always here for you to help you out in any way that we can. But Jalen, I thought that was pretty cool. You help teach yoga to other people, and now you teach it to your friends. Obviously, football is a big thing that you do. What's it like teaching your friends yoga? I can't do it. I'll be honest. I can't. I've tried. I can't do it.
It's a difficult thing to teach, but once you get it right, it's like a balance and flow that you get with the people around you, and it really brought me closer to them. I feel like more than just a spiritual connection whenever we do practice together, especially when I'm with my father. It's an untouchable experience.
That's really cool. So it goes beyond, just helping in terms of playing in that sport type of thing, right? It's more of would you say more of a mental therapeutic thing?
Definitely more of a mental therapy. It clears your mind. It's a great way to relieve any stress and things that could be on your mind, and really clear the air and get you back at an equilibrium, a stable point.
I think that's very interesting. And one of our guests today has suffered from PTSD, and one of the healing things he found was tennis. Now, he'd never played tennis before growing up, but he found it later in life. And when he did find it, it was that healing thing for him. Anytime he's on the tennis court, anytime he's feeling like he's struggling, he'll go out and he'll play, and that's the thing that helps him come back. And I think for anyone, it could be a different type of thing. What would you recommend to other people who are struggling? How do they find that? I think that's the hard thing, is once you find it, it can change your life, but finding it sometimes is the difficult thing, right?
All right, I'm going to draw a connection to something that is on the soulmate level. They say when you find a soulmate, you don't feel anything but normal. But when you find the thing that intrigues you, it gives you all these bells, whistles, butterflies, that's the most likely thing that's bad for you, because it's causing all these reactions to go on in your body that's not normal. So when you find something that just completely doesn't interest you and you think that you won't like it, give that a try. Because I picked up yoga and I picked up golf, and I refuse to stop my yoga and I refuse to stop my golf, because those are the two things that I would never think from an inner city kid growing up on the south side of Yonkers. Inner city sports, just completely turn around to golf and yoga and spreading that word from the Marine to the golfer. I don't know, man. It's a complete 360 for me.
That's just phenomenal. And I think it's like, now that I've heard the tennis story, it makes perfect sense, right? Sometimes you just never know. You get introduced to something and you just never know what impact it's going to make. What's it like, though, to be able to do with your son, to be able to share yoga? And he spoke so eloquently about how meaningful it is. What's it like to be able to share yoga and golf with him?
I have a hard time with communication, so when I find something I love doing, it just comes out naturally. The yoga, it's almost silent at the time, except for when I have to guide him to do a position more correct. and it's teaching in the most gentlest form, because I'm teaching him how to teach himself. Therefore, he can teach in future and pay it forward. The same thing with the golf. I just have to open the door and he sees that one good shot out of the 18 holes he plays, and that's the one you go to sleep with. It gives you the real good dreams that makes you want to go out there again. And it creates good sportsmanship, great teamwork, and great positive, just a broad awareness and mindfulness of the world, especially when you're out there in nature. You're doing all these things, you're connecting and in tune with different energies that's not the common society put on the radio and hear whatever they're feeding you stuff, you know?
It's a great way to look at things. And Jalen, you obviously, you're ahead of where a lot of 16-year-olds are. You're getting a lot of great advice. You're learning a lot of things that kids your age might not know. What is it you really want to do? You know, you're still young. You got a lot of time to figure it out. But is there something, though, you're really passionate, something you really want to do?
Football is definitely my #1 passion. I really feel like if I can take that all the way, then that's definitely what I'm gonna do. But I have another fallback option. I'm going to college no matter what. That's my biggest thing. I have to go to college, and then I want to study psychology because he influenced me to, with his PTSD story, he started helping me learn about it, and it encouraged me to want to know more about how the mind works and how I can help other people like him and like me that have been through things, so I can help keep them from doing harmful things to themselves, because people commit suicide, people harm themselves, and that's something that I just want to try to prevent. And that's one of my biggest things that I want to do, is definitely help other people out.
Well, you have a bright future ahead of you. You speak very well for yourself. I just know you're going to do some special things in this world. And you're dealing, you hit the nail on the head. These issues are very complicated. There's a lot of adults who don't fully understand PTSD and everything that it involves. So I applaud you and I commend you, and I know you're going to do some great things. Janice, let's shift back to you for a minute, because I know you must be so proud of everything that your son does. I mean, what a remarkable young man you have here. You have some big things ahead that you really wanted to come in and talk about, involving a book. You've got a lot of things to share. Tell us a little bit about when you started to think about, I might be able to put a story together here. When did really those ideas start to pop up?
It actually came up about 10 years after I got out of the military, because that was the lifespan of the security clearance that I had, and also my son's mother's security clearance. There was a lot of things that went on in the marriage as a result of the undiagnosed PTSD at the time, and when I finally got that awareness that I was suffering, my first inkling was to see all the people that I've touched and I've affected with my PTSD. His mom would be the first person I would reach out to, and after a couple failed relationships, I realized working on myself would be the most important thing, so I can give back to the one important thing in my life would be my son. After achieving my son, getting custody of him, I realized through other failed relationships that the only other person I want to heal that would affect our future would be my son's mother. So I can use the counseling and things that I've gained over the years and the benefits through the retirement that I get to assist somebody, and I would help his mother out, because she suffers just as much as I suffer from being active duty Marine at wartime under the capacity that she served working for the president. So I want to put together basically some guidelines that military couples can look on and see that they're not alone, because it takes a different kind of character to be married in the military, and then to be married to another person in the military at that. That's just a lot of dynamics and a lot of working around that you have to do. So the title of my book would be RockBottomTrapDoor. It's a survival guide on basically how to survive, knowing that the military is your option. This is your path towards success and running away at the same time. It says on the inside cover, I put something like, you can't escape bondage, but a S.E.R.E Marine can survive and thrive. I'm a S.E.R.E Marine. Survival, evasion, resistance, and escape is my counterintelligence training that kind of set the basis for all my knowledge of the inner workings of torture and anti-terrorism and interrogation and resistance and escape aspects of prisoner of war personnel. So using the survival tactics gained from the prisoner of war training, I believe I have a good helping hand to give someone to survive in the rigors of environments like the military, especially the Marine Corps and their combat situations and traumatic life, because if you're in that situation, probably you've been through trauma and you're running away from something. So knowing that 70% of the military joins to run away from something, I'd like to be of assistance to tell my runaway story and give back and pay forward to those looking for an answer because they don't even know they have a question yet.
You certainly have a lot to share, and I'm really excited to see how your work turns out. Have you started putting pen down to paper yet, or have you put a lot of the ideas or just still flowing?
I've been journaling since I was 15, and there's a lot of ripped pages of my journals, but I've got volumes and volumes of things I've written down. A lot of things turned into poetry, just a lot of notes in my life that you know, I've got a bunch of tattoos that select different chapters of my life, and these are different foundations that I'm using for the chapters that I want to share. There's no organization. It's just so far I've got 15 thoughts and segments that I've put down, and it's a lot of finding joy instead of worry, you know, different tools and resources that I've picked up along the way. Things like there's a question behind a question, so identify what people are really asking you. Just different things to get your shoe in, to realize that there's more behind communication and open communication that is required to getting your story out and having great relationships with people that I'm just discovering right now.
I think it's phenomenal. You know, a lot of times in life, sometimes we always have this idea for a book, but I can't tell you how many times I heard people say, yeah, I had this idea, but you know, I wish I would have done it. You're going to do it, and I think that's great. I think whenever we have an idea, go for it, because what's the worst that can happen? You know, you got to go for it. I think that's great. Jalen, you ready to help Dad put this book together?
Oh, absolutely. He reads it to me every once in a while, and I'm amazed at such a big step that he's taken in his life, especially being so vulnerable, putting all of his personal information into this book. I think he's just a superstar for it. He's definitely my idol, and I can't stress enough how much this makes me feel that he's actually doing something really big.
I think that it's just, I know certainly everyone here listening is going to be very excited to see and support your book. And obviously, as you get closer and each step you take, you come on here, the two of you, and you give us an update on how it's going. We'd love to be filled in about it. Before we end, I obviously want to ask, you guys got any cool plans this summer? What are you guys doing?
We just came back from Bermuda. We went.
Nice.
I guess I called it the Beach Boys summer. 2 months ago we went to Florida Keys, but it was just torn up from all the hurricanes that hit. And we went to Bermuda, so we're kind of doing the Bermuda Triangle thing, and the Beach Boys, Bermuda, Bahama, come on, pretty mama. And we did 4 beaches in 3 days, snorkeled 3 times, and I cliff dived a couple times, and it was just the most phenomenal thing that I can share with them. Cruise, Bermuda, Key West. We go on vacation about every 2 or 3 months, and we're looking forward to seeing what next month brings us.
Nice. Jalen, sounds like you've had a kind of good time on the beach recently, huh?
Absolutely. The waters are amazing, and it's just so blue and clear when you're in Bermuda. It's a real amazing experience, and it's not even the place that we go, it's the trip that takes us there, and I can't imagine being on the trip with anybody else.
You guys are just absolutely phenomenal. It was an absolute pleasure to have you back, Janice, and then of course you too, Jalen. Next time you guys you're a package now, you know. Now you guys can't come separately. It's a package now from now on. Oh. You guys are just absolutely great. You both speak so well. You both are doing so much to try to help other people. I can't thank you enough for both of you taking some time and talking with us today.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot for having us. It's a blessing.
got it. You've listened to Janice, you listened to Jalen. Everyone, this is Westchester Talk Radio. I'm Joe Archino. You're going to hear from these guys again, I am sure of it. But until the next time, everyone, Joe Archino, don't go anywhere. We will be right back.